Christina Universe Citizen presents New Era Religion, Episode 22, April 3rd, 2022, Part 2, a synthesis of importing and exporting functioning events. Epistemology comes into the metaphysical generalized conception field of thought's awareness of general systems and the tetrahedron as the minimum thinkable set. You may recall episode 18, where I included the A list of the always and only coexisting complementarities from RBF Synergetics Dictionary. Today, I include another A list, also from RBF Dictionary, Synergetics Dictionary, from the alphabetized equals checklist, as shown here. I can imagine the conceptual formulations relevant as a contribution to the universal communications process and potential realizable eventuations of a true democracy. Equals checklist A list. Amorphous equal unstable. Areas equal opening. Axiomatic equal obvious. Accounting for Vertexial equal Spherical. Allspace filling equal scenario. Available equal vacant. Artifact equal idea. Angular shunting equal focus. Apprehension plus comprehension equal awareness. Answer equal interrelationship. Without popularized concern for the equals checklists, we are educated by the PRJWBC schemes, whose influence seeps into every branch of communication, and especially those information resources that we have grown so accustomed to as the mainstream media. It refers to fixed frames of hierarchical authorities and whose knowledge lacks awareness of the myriads of eccentricities of cyclic periodicities. So too will be some clarification of our prideful adaptation to the PRJWBC's default settings in cultivated ignorance concerning what equals what, as this A list of the equals checklist begins to inform us of educated alternatives to educated ignorance. Obviously, few to none mention these correlations, as the popularized vernaculars are devised, but not necessarily for human consciousness awareness of the generalized content of information, and so the omnicomprehensive universe remains nebulous to our problem-solving innovations, while battles are raging somewhere in the world, in a deeply personal level, and also on the world stage without a clue of the many equations, the equal clarification, such as the E-list reveals. I mention here a few of those. On the E-list, from the equals checklist, from Bucky Fuller's Deciphering Discernment based on observations of the reenacting articulations, about which he gave great insightful and outlook thoughtful omniconsiderate reconsideration. Equa-interval equal tuned. Equations equal patterns. Entropy equal unpredictability. Efficient equal beautiful. Experienced physical energy equal frequency. Edges equal central angles. Beautiful stands out here as national admiration. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, as well as the TLBSWME, truth, love, beauty, symmetry, wisdom, maximum economy, and how graffiti spreads across surfaces, spilling onto the human anatomy as an emulation of tribes in primitive environments. To many, it might evaluate the conformity appealing, but then we can re-evaluate what Leonard Euler discovered 150 years ago, which is that all visual experiences can be resolved into three unique and irreducible aspects. This can be found in Synergetics 1007.22. The most refined synergetics of those three irreducible aspects of the visual experience are events, no-vents, and event interrelatabilities, as the vertexes, faces, and edges are the unique, dimensional, constant, relative abundance. It is so unlike the cartoonist, the tattoo artist's input to the universal communications process. As if all those lines, curves, faces, corners, edges, and angles are meant to oppose the beautiful as a contemporary enhancement that to many is downright repulsive. Would that we could have always known how to integrate the always and only coexisting complementarities, one of which is attraction and repulsion, perhaps. The least refined observations of the three irreducible aspects of all visual experiences pertaining to the reenacting articulations would not have produced growing populations of tattoos on people, as if they are signifying conformity to a type of mass incarceration as a least path of resistance. We must always be concerned about the paths of least resistance, not reverting back to square one in a delusional interpretation where the false premises took roots and from where the inherited detriments derive. Detriments are harmful or damaging. They contribute to exploitations in the value of doing harm. So consciousness evolution naturally requires fields of recognition that explore the value of doing no harm, which can be quite a challenge, according to the way we have learned to value heated reaction and all that contributes to the destructive scenarios. Logically, and as we can read in Synergetics 1001.20 through 1001.26, if the paths of least resistance are taken by each and all the moving bodies within the total complexity that includes our evolution species, humans of the eternal omniscient mind, then, ignoring the anticipatory design science events concerning every complex action is foolish and dangerous, because species survival and awareness of the inherent rationality of omnidirectional epistemology are always at issue, to be in question as the most comprehensive answers are discovered. Answer equal interrelationship. Therefore, from the outset, our rudimentary earliest education, wherever a true democracy and consciousness evolution's TLBSWME, truth, love, beauty, symmetry, wisdom, maximum economy are highly valued, is where the always and only coexisting complementarity, geodesics, and irrelevance is made known, as well. Paths of least resistance ought to acknowledge the mind's metaphysical generalized conception field of thought, primarily because awareness, cognition, recognition of this field closest relates to inherently inviolable integrity of the individual as an integral body in motion, be this independently or in company with all other bodies in motion. After all, we have been apprised of the 6 motion freedoms, one of which is axial rotation. Another motion freedom is orbital rotation. And another motion freedom is precession. So, as our individual one-of-a-kind patterning integrity in its own right, because we are cerebrally equipped as an interrelating mind to tune in and tune out the units of energy input, the most relevant and the most economical are of a greater value than all that is the least economical, and that has been imposed on our generations from the PRJWBCS. At last, we can wonder and write, exploring why Bucky Fuller's brilliant mind's discoveries that are disclosed to everyone on earth in synergetics were so short-lived from the mid-20th century, barely playing a critical part on the world stage before it was almost lost among socio-political, religion, justice, PRJWBCS, paths of retrograde motion. It is where self-serving rationalizations as a personality product of those misaligning and misinforming energy-less formulations inevitably cause the human psyche to suffer. They seem to be in a perpetual induced ignorance that experience equal information, and that eternal equal transformation, and that frequency equal experience physical energy, as well as frequency equal dimensionality equal radial depth. Suffering is not an integral infliction that nature imposes. It is where humans and other species do not know what nature's environments require for their survival, and must learn by trial and error in the evolution process. Belief schemes factor suffering into the human condition. Whenever the omniscience is missing, so too is the fact of science, such that the physical and chemical organism of humans consist entirely of atoms, inanimate atoms. Synergetics 1005.614. Awareness of importing energy and exporting energy as an individual, albeit integral body of all bodies in motion, is what humans are designed in principle for survival, where life is a synthesis of the importing and exporting functioning. This need not exclude the metaphysical generalized conception field of thought. Omnirationally, it is what we do between conception and birth, between living and dying, between being alive and death. Remember to tune in to episode 21 part